Good afternoon. Recently, I participated in a debate with opposition candidate Roy Clinton. I hesitate to describe him as a GSD candidate as I think he has been genuinely misled by Danny Fitham as to what was happening with the finances of Gibraltar in the last term of office of the GSD when Fitham was based at number 6 and working closely with the then Chief Minister. It was in this period, 2007-2011, that things started going seriously wrong with the finances of Gibraltar. And even if other candidates are not aware of this, Fitham cannot escape this responsibility because he was at the center of things. He knows the GSD election campaign to date has been a pack of lies, like the big lie of 15 years of providing financial support to community care, which Fitham was forced to accept was not true and had never happened, or the secret plan for replacing community care with a better alternative that never existed, which he had no choice but to accept when presented with the evidence in Parliament by me a few months ago. The public debt of Gibraltar, as calculated by internationally recognized methods, published by every country and introduced in our laws by the GSD government, is not 900 million, but 447 million, and is due to drop to 400 million by March of next year. The 900 million is a fictitious figure and is not true. If Fitham wants to legislate now to set a maximum fixed level of debt of over 1 billion, then this runs contrary to everything the GSD has said on what is the correct way to arrive at the level of public debt when in government. To use their language, what Fitham wants to do would show that he is economically illiterate. It seems clear that Mr. Clinton has been under the misconception that Gibraltar Investment Holdings has been set up to obtain finance for capital projects as some kind of secret plan after the 2011 election. Not true. What Mr. Clinton has been criticizing in his statements is what the GSD was doing in government in 2008, which was to procure a way of funding a massive construction program covering 16 projects and likely to cost well over £1 billion, and doing it in a way that would not count as public debt. The agreement entered into by the GSD in 2008 with their land projects consultant, including a clause where the individual consultant had to agree the terms for financing the 16 projects of the Gibraltar Government Company with banks or other institutions. The GSD government, after 2008, could not have delivered the 16 projects by selling more public debt because the legal limit was already exhausted. Indeed, the government had to change the law again in 2009 to relax the parameters and enable themselves to increase the level of debt, changes which contradicted all their arguments of a year earlier. Fitham has chosen to convert this election campaign into a crusade to stop lies, described in the little booklet in which he first tells you that it is his manifesto in the opening paragraph, and then ends up by saying that it is not in the final paragraph. He wants you to trust him with getting the economy right. He cannot even get right his own manifesto. If any one of the 10 GSD candidates deserves not to get into Parliament, it is none other than Danny himself, the architect of an election campaign that calls for no more lies, orchestrated by the arch liar himself. I told Mr. Clinton the other day that I agreed with his statement that our future is dependent on the success of the Gibraltar economy. It has been my view since I first stood for election in 1972, when he was 5 years old. But having said this, they make no mention of any economic policy, economic program, or targets anywhere in the policy document. No wonder Mr. Clinton readily accepted my economic target of 33% minimum growth by 2020 as the yardstick to follow. They lie on the small things as well as on the big ones. They have been accusing me in the social media of wanting to put LNG in Irish Town as if I was a terrorist trying to blow up Sapita Caruana. Quite apart from the fact that I'm totally committed to and convinced about the safety of LNG, their accusation is a deliberate distortion of what I said to him in Parliament, which was the following. Well, if the location means that if you do it in Gowland's Ramp, it does not matter, but if you do it in Irish Town, it does, then I would put it in Irish Town and you would put it in Gowland's Ramp, which was followed by laughter from both sides of the House. That is the threat. They have announced that Credit Finance Company would be put into liquidation on the false premise that it exists to finance Gibraltar investment holdings. The primary purpose for which it was set up, as was made clear at the time, was to finance the commutation of civil service pensions, a policy the GSD in government was willing to implement but could not find a way to provide the funding. So, no CFC means no more commutations. Discontinuing the profitable reinvestment of deposits in the savings bank means the end of the availability of debentures and other savings instruments for pensioners and other savers, which the GSD claimed was their social policy in government. Mr. Fitton said in this year's budget he would cut £50 million from the annually recurrent expenditure, but when invited by me to identify in the expenditure estimates which were in front where the axe would fall, he remained silent. Not only has he been responsible as part of the GSD for many of the initiatives that wasted a lot of public money introduced before 2011, but he has now committed his party to an increase in recurrent annual expenditure which is a financial disaster and runs contrary to all their claims about taking action to eliminate waste in the public sector. The GSD has shown in this campaign that they have no idea how to run the economy, no idea how to manage public finances, that all the things they criticize are the things that they were doing when they were in government. And to boot, to use the favorite terminology of the former chief minister, to boot, they tell lies all the time, whilst declaring that their policy is to stop the lies. Well, to stop the lies, they do not need to be in government or even in parliament. All they need to do is to stick to the truth. That is, if they know how to do that. They lie to get your vote, and that alone is a good enough reason for not voting for them. And I am asking you to vote for my colleagues and myself. Thank you.